Brande Davison here. I am a design team member with SpiegelMom Scraps, and I'm here today with a process video. I am today focusing on playing with the Vicki Boutin Wildflower and Honey collection. I've got 4 little wee baby photos. I think they are 2x2 that I printed on my selfie printer, and I started with the intention of using the Strawberry Fields sequin mix that you can see up there on the right hand side. That changes up. I do try and pull out some of the pinks and the reds and the greens from the Wildflower collection to match the sequin mix, but as I get further and further into my page, I realized that I actually wanted a darker sequin mix, and I end up switching to Into the Woods. So this Into the Woods is absolutely my favorite sequin mix in the whole wide world. I cannot tell you how many packages I have gone through. It is a wood grain sequin, a dark and a light wood grain, and a small and a large sequin size, and I absolutely love them. So when in doubt, I just reach for the Into the Woods collection. So I'm doing it again here, even though right now what you can see is the Strawberry Field collection, which is these beautiful bright pink, red, a little bit of green, a little bit of white, and a little bit of holographic there. But I just started, my page starts to go with a little bit of a distress vibe, and so the Into the Woods is perfect. So what I'm doing here is I have selected a pattern paper, and my intention is to create a design that has sort of this ripped feature across the page, sort of middle of the page, ends up looking similar to what you're looking at right now, with a touch of color on top, using the Wildflower and Honey Kit collections, and then just a bit of a background. So really very little product that I'm using here in this page, as you'll see, but I end up with quite a bit of color. Well, one, thanks to the beautiful bold colors of any Vicki Boutin collection, but also some distress inks that I use in the background here. So anytime that you're ripping anything, you got to play a little bit to get the rip that you want. And so I'm just going to play a little bit here. Cannot believe I cut just a single strip off of one 12x12 piece of paper here, but yep, that's true, I did that. And so I cut a strip there, and then I'm going to use the washi tape from the collection, and I'm just going to layer these 2 strips, the washi tape and the paper there, to sort of create a midpoint on that ripped piece, if you will. So I want kind of to get that sketch background, but wanted to also have just a pop of color in the middle, sort of to anchor it across the middle of the page. And I went pretty much halfway at the page, maybe a little bit lower into the bottom half, but almost cutting the page directly in half. So in the photos I'm playing with here, I'm going to use in this little simple grid pattern. I'm going to tape them down onto this white cardstock, just making them easier to maneuver by putting them directly into a grid instead of kind of backing all 4 of them separately. And these are just kind of everyday pictures. I was in town. I live in a different province than my family. I was in town. Me and my younger sisters and my older sister went out for a bite to eat, and we've got my nephew with us. And as happens in our family, regardless of children or not being involved, we generally will, ask for a kid's menu or end up coloring at the table in some way, shape, or form, just who we are as a family. And so this has a close-up photo of my 2 sisters coloring, which was intended for my nephew, and then just some pictures of us just sitting at the table. And maybe for families that live really close together, this is just a regular everyday moment, but for my family, this sure feels like every day, but also feels incredibly special because I only get to see my family a few times of the year. So it's a 15-ish hour drive apart and a couple hours flight, which is, even more interesting to try and make that kind of travel in these COVID times. So this is particularly special and was not too long before COVID hit. So so just a regular day. And if I recall, I think actually I can't remember what we were intending to do on this day, but I think we were going shopping or something crazy, which is odd for my family. So but out for a bite to eat first of all. So here I am. I'm just going to go through. You can see I bought, as I do for every Vicki Boutin collection, I bought all of the goodies, and so I'm going to spend just a little bit of time going through all of the ephemera die cuts that come with the kit. And I tend to buy, like I said, everything, the die cuts as well as the tags. She's usually got 2 or 3 kind of mixes that go with each collection, and I just buy up all the things. And so there's a bit to go through here. I do want to have 2 tags for whatever reason. I just really like the way that they look as part of the design there, but I'm not quite sure how to embellish. There isn't anything really in this collection that is about sort of going out for a bite to eat. If I had gone with the Wander collection, there would be, but I really like the tones of this one. So I've gone through, picked out a couple of tags. I've got a few things that I don't mind kind of just sitting off to the side. I do play with a little bit of the chipboard stickers here, thinking that I'm going to add another stripe in the middle with these, I don't know what that diagonal candy canes. They look like multicolored stripe there. I end up getting rid of these, to be honest with you. They took away from that sort of that bright pink pop that I had in just the plain pattern paper, or the fairly plain pattern paper, if there is such a thing in a Vicki collection. But and then I did have some scraps from using this collection before that I've just gone ahead and ripped to back that grid of photos that I have. So there's a green, kind of a tealish hunter green, as well as an orange color that's behind there. And then I'm just auditioning some of these tags. And so that shape that you're seeing there, that's pretty much what I stick with in the end, but I'm going to play a little bit. Sorry for the squeak there. The dog's got a little rubber chicken that she loves and is playing with, so you might hear that a few more times. She's sitting beside me as I'm doing this voiceover. So there you see I've gotten rid of those chipboard stickers. I've also pulled in that pink color. Is just so beyond fabulous. So I've pulled that back in, and you can see I've just taken another piece of that same pink that I had used as a strip across the middle, which is going to come back into play here, and then I've just ripped a piece in the background. And the three pieces that I have behind that grid are literally just scrap pieces of paper, cut to sort of the right width and then torn to the right length, if you will. I didn't really think about it. I very seldom ever mat my photos in a straight way. If it's a white mat, then I will make it absolutely perfect, square, bang on. Any other colored mat always gets a bit of a tilt, so I don't overthink about the shape too much. So I've glued down that pink stripe across the middle. That's going to stay in the washi there. And those are the two tags that I stick with, but you'll see I end up sort of switching the order here in a minute. And apologies if you can hear my dog. She's going through her toy basket right now, so coming over with a different something to chew on, so while she sits at my feet. So what I've done is I like the look. I like that it's white and it's clean, but I need a bit of mess. And this is a Vicki Boutin inspired, Vicki Boutin and sequin inspired collection. So of course, as soon as you bring kind of those into there, it kind of gives you permission to make a little bit of a mess. So I've just gone through my stamp collection there, and I'm going to stamp the background. So I remember where my page was sitting. I've just taken my pencil there and just made a really faint mark, just sort of inside where those two pieces will sit, the strip across the middle as well as the tags, so that as I'm stamping my background, I'm going to focus on stamping a little bit into that space, but mostly out of that space, and then I don't waste a lot of time stamping where I'm going to cover up. So I generally only stamp in black. Once in a while, maybe 2 or 3 layouts in my life have I ever dipped into a different color. So I reach for my StazOn jet black all the time. I love that after I've stamped, I can also do more to the page with watercolor, and it doesn't go anywhere. So that's why it's my preferred. And I am just going to make sort of a crazy background, like a pattern paper of a bunch of the words that I really like. And so from the Heidi Swapp, I believe this is the stamp that went, I think it might have been with her Wolfpack collection, or what was the one before that had the bright pinks? I'm going to forget what it was called now, but it's basically a stamp set that you can kind of build on to sort of almost create like Instagram looking sort of graphics. And I'm just going to pick out the words that I love the most, and that included family, weekend, there's another one in there that I had, smiles maybe, and I'm just going to stamp these all in the background. I think that one is good. Good time, I think, is one. And those kind of have a scripty font, so kind of giving a little bit of a curve. And then I'm going to pull out my Felicity Jane, and I cannot remember which Felicity Jane set this is. I want to say Mila, but it has gratitude that's in a block, like a really kind of typewriter font almost that comes in a block. And so just a really good kind of design that's really opposite of the scripty font from Heidi Swapp. And I am going to stamp that one in a whole bunch of places. And then I am going to grab Another one from the Felicity Jane that's in more of a scripty font, and it says the best part, and the word best is scripty and the rest is in a typewriter font. And then there's another one that is in scripty that says it's a good time for. So really just finding kind of words or phrases from these stamp collections that, made a lot of sense for me for the event, but also had a different font to them or a different look. So really kind of, giving a bit of a mixed sort of messy look to stamping. And I literally just kind of fill the space. I don't overthink it too much. Sometimes I stamp the same thing right beside each other because I think it's funny. Sometimes I stamp it off to see it repeated, and sometimes I make sure they're nowhere near each other. So kind of no rhyme or reason. I'm just kind of going by the size of the shape to fill the white space. So in both the Felicity Jane and in the Heidi Swapp collection, they had the word love. The one in Heidi Swapp was a solid black, I would say like an Arial black font. And the one in the Felicity Jane looked sort of like the same font, or sorry, the opposite. The one in the Heidi Swapp looked like the same font, but in fact it was a outline. So I, stamp that a whole bunch of times on here so that there's kind of love, 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 love all over. And in some cases even stamp those off. So you've got like the first stamp down, which is like a nice rich black, and then just tilted it, moved it slightly to the side and stamped it again. And then you get sort of that lighter gray. And then in the Felicity Jane one, I believe it was, they also just had this cute little black heart. And so I thought, oh, well, isn't that fun? So I used that to sort of fill in the spaces and to get just a little bit more kind of dark dimension to what I'm stamping in the background. So yeah, I really, I just don't overthink it. I just sort of create a stamp mess that's going to kind of poke out from behind whatever pattern paper I'm putting down. So yeah, super, super easy. Again, it stays on. I'm using a single color, any stamps that kind of bring me joy. So I don't think about it too much. So sorry, I'm just cleaning up a little bit, and I'm going to put my page back down and my pieces back down. And really this is for me to just see, like, did I cover the space? Did I leave any gaps behind the pattern paper? But more importantly, did I kind of create enough stamps so that you can equally see some poking out of the top of the pattern as well as some of the bottom? And I see, kind of putting this back on, that underneath my photo grid there, well, you can see I just pointed, a little bit more is needed. So I'm going to pull that back off again, and I'm going to just stamp a few more. So just grab the stamps that I was already working with, nothing new, and just stamp a few more times. So super easy. Probably didn't need I need to add anything to the top there, but I do anyway because, I've got them out, so why not add a little bit more? This is me just sort of expanding it to create the focal point, like the widest part of my background that's stamped behind where the pictures are. So trying to create a bit more attention to where the photos are than the rest of the design, so that it draws the eye to, the point of the scrapbook page, which is ultimately these photos. I don't journal on my design team pages before I post them. I always do that after, before I put them in the album, so I can get all like touchy-feely and not worry about it being on social media. But one thing I do like about doing sort of a crazy stamp background like this is that when I go on to add the journaling with my black journaling pen, my writing doesn't stand out as much. Like all of us, or most of us, I'm sure, because I hear this all the time and read it all the time in various forums, I don't love my handwriting, and I find when the page is a little bit messy, it doesn't matter. It's almost like I was messy on purpose, and maybe I tried to be a little bit messier with my writing because normally it looks so good. Not really. I often joke around how I should have been a doctor. Not smart enough, but I definitely have the proper writing that you can never read what they write on the prescription to be a doctor. So, but hopefully there's somebody in my family in the future who can decipher my handwriting. So I'm just going back in, and just to add a little bit more to that background, again, that kind of permission to be messy whenever you're working with the sort of Vicki Boutin stuff, or with anything, but I find it particularly easy with Vicki because her pattern papers always have a bit of a kind of a classy grunge to them, if I can call it that. Is I've just gone in, I've got my distress ink from Tim Holtz, I've got my little blending tool there, and I'm using the evergreen bow color and a little bit of the pumice stone, which is a gray and then a green, and that green is like again, not really a hunter green, but more of like a teal meets forest green kind of infusion. It's yeah, it's a good color. I really like it. And I'm not usually one for green, but this green in particular I quite like. So again, just working on using that stencil brush, super easy, or that stencil and the blending brush to create just a little bit of texture over top of where I stamped. So not too crazy, no water, no mess, just adding a little bit of color. So I've gone ahead and I have secured my 3 ripped pattern papers from the same collection that are behind my photo grid. And I've just, as I tend to do, I just take my stapler, hold them in place how I had them, stick a big staple in the middle, and then I put a little bit of glue to put the photos back on top. And in this case, I am going to pop them up. So I've put a little bit of foam on the very bottom there. And I just use the Studio Katsia. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's a huge roll. I want to say it's 24 or 30 feet, just to do my foam stuff. And it's not quite as big as a foam pop-up dot. It's about half, but it gives it a good amount of dimension without making it feel bulky. So you can see there, I did Into the Woods sequin mix there is on the right and was previously on my page there. I have decided to switch out the sequins at this point. So I'm really liking that grunge feel. And in a prior kind of portion here, you saw that I had 2 black foam words. Those were from Rosie Studio, but they had a bit of a glitter to them, and I didn't quite like that they were bringing glitter into the page. I wanted my sparkle to come from the sequins only. So I've actually instead gone through, I've got some great foam phrases. You can see them at the top there from Citrus Twist Kits. And so I've pulled that out, and what I've picked is Loving This. And it's the perfect sentiment for how I feel about just sort of these, everyday moments that just feel so normal when I go home to visit, and just, kind of being part of my sister's sort of everyday lives, if you will. But also I liked that the fonts were different. So the Loving is scripty, and the This is more of a kind of a block font, which I thought really kind of showcase the same thing that I was trying to get in the stamps in the background. So I'm going to just set those off to the right hand side here. That's going to stay where it is. And then at this point in time, now I just move on to really just embellishing. This is basically the structure and foundation of the page. So I'm just going to go through the rest of the collection that I have and pull out some bits and pieces. I mostly at this point add stickers. So they have these great little, they look like, I think they're meant to be tabs on maybe a planner or something. And I like to just layer them behind the photo as if there's like, hidden journaling or something that you could pull out. And it's just a good way to add just a little tiny pops of color. And you'll really be able to see those when I do the stills at the end here. I've got quite a few of them. And so I've just layered a pink one, sort of a navy, almost black one, and then a gold one in the back there. You can barely see them. But I like how it looks, so I think it's going to work out really well. So you'll see that in the stills. Also going through the sticker collection, there is, that goes with the kit, the Wildflower and Honey kit, is these great labels. One of them is, again, that sort of navy black outline, and then the other one has a gold outline, so kind of bringing balance to the gold that I used in the little tab there. And then I am kind of just overlapping them. They have a bit of a grunge background on them as well, so kind of like how that looks, and I'll add a little bit of journaling there and probably the date, whatnot. And then I found this kind of these little washi strips, I don't know what you would call them, that are part of the sticker collection as well. And the one has like XOXOXO over and over again in gold, and then a little bit of a blue kind of scallop underneath, that I added there below the labels. And then I just cut forward because I spent a little bit of time honestly playing way too much with a couple of pieces. But within that time that I cut out of the video, I also found the little pink sticker as well, just the strip there, just that pink that's been added underneath where those labels are. And it's just a pink background with little tiny gold hearts over and over again. So again, just adding balance to the gold. So there's little bits of gold in here. And then over the Loving word, kind of tucked behind the N and the G, I do add 2 little hearts. One is gold and one is just a little black and white stripe that goes there. So that's really what I add from the collection. So I know I've got that whole pile of die cuts and ephemera, and then I go ahead and add like 5 stickers, or maybe 7 or 8 stickers, and then two tags. But you know what? with the background stamped and a little bit of color, it just totally works. And I really wanted to just, kind of just keep that focal point where it is and not take too much attention away from it. So now I'm going in and I am adding the Into the Woods sequin mix. So I'm telling you, literally, you can do anything with sequins. So you'll often see me do a shaker pocket, anywhere from a little tag pocket to a full 12 by 12 shaker pocket. But also just small touches that bring a little bit of sparkle and a lot of dimension to a page is just use them in the place that you would use enamel dots. They have just a great texture without adding a whole bunch of dimension to a page once you put it in a page protector. A little bit of sparkle. They look so different. Any of our sequin mixes from SpiegelMom Scraps, the sequins there's always a bunch of different ones inside of each mix, and they all really complement each other. And I just really like the little touch that they bring to the page. So that's what I've done. I've just kind of enamel dotted them, if you will, around the page. And now I've taken some Nuvo black crystal drops, and I just put them on my mat or on a piece of plastic, squish a little bit out. I add a tiny bit of water, and then I use my paintbrush to basically splatter them. And I use a fairly big paintbrush so that I can really get some really big splotches. So not tiny little splatters, but truly kind of like paint splotches. And when you add the water to the Nuvo, I've done it with almost every color that I've got in my stash. It does get a bit of a milky look to it when you add the water, but don't be afraid. When they dry on the page, it dries to the true crystal look of the original Nuvo. So, for instance, the black there might look a little bit milky on the left-hand side. I've now splattered it on my page, kind of giving it that true kind of grunge, fun, messy look that I was looking for here. And it's going to look a little bit milky. Let it dry, and it's going to be that bright black, textured with a bit of shine. It's just, I just love using them as splatters. It's my new addiction since I sort of accidentally discovered it a couple of months ago. Other people have probably been doing it for a really long time, but I discovered it now. It's really exciting, and I have to do it everywhere. So that's for splatters. And then I've just gone back in and I'm using just my fine line bottle there with some Scotch Quick Dry to add a few more sequins. And I put a pretty healthy splotch of glue down, put the sequin on top, and then I sort of press the sequin into it. So often the glue will come through the little hole in the middle of the sequin and a little bit around the edges. I don't worry about it. Scotch Quick Dry, it dries clear. You cannot see the glue after it's dried, and I feel really confident that the sequins are adhered. So that's me. That was my finishing touches. So just a few stills here to show you the details, that it worked out to kind of this messy, everyday sort of love in this look, featuring the Into the Woods sequin mix. So they're still up in the shop. I will include a link below, and thank you so much for watching. And I hope you're having just had a wonderful August, and September starting out really well for you. So thanks again.